Hello everyone, Tobias here. This is going to be a little excerpt from our previous podcast where we talk about James Gunn's new DC slate of films. It just ran on way too long, but we didn't want to throw everything out. So here's an extra half hour just for you guys because we love you. Thanks for listening and enjoy.
I was going to ask you one other thing about James Gunn. The only thing I've really seen from him that I can think of is because I haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy. I keep going to say Homelander, but I don't mean Homelander. Peacemaker, yeah. Similar kind of names in a kind of funny kind of way. Anyway, so one of the things I noticed about this show is it's very humorous, and I think from what I read, they changed some stuff about the character.
Peacemaker's a very different character in the comics,
Yeah. So I'm wondering if we can take how he handled Homelander, Peacemaker, as kind of like a mark for how he might handle other shows. I think also, is Guardians of the Galaxy, does it have much humor in it?
I'd say, for me personally, too much. I find it difficult to digest. I know like everyone really likes Guardians of the Galaxy, and I can see why. But for me, it does feel like a remake of Star Wars, where everyone is just making jokes every 5 seconds, and I'm not even a huge Star Wars fan, so Star Wars with jokes. I mean, don't get me wrong, James Gunn is a funny guy. So a lot of the humor in Guardians of the Galaxy does land. But I think that when the humor does land, it's because it's being delivered by someone with excellent comic timing. Like I think Chris Pratt, he's a really, he is just naturally a really funny guy. And his timing is just, you can one of the climax, I forget which one, I think it might be the first one, but the climax of the movie is literally him suggesting they have a dance off, and he starts like moonwalking and shit. And it's in the middle of the final fight. And that sort of stuff normally pisses me off, but they kind of got away with it for me. Like, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of charming. Like, and he's funny, and the writing's funny, and the directions, like everyone knows what they're doing. It's not like they're doing it, they're not accidentally being bad or accidentally being good. It's like they know what they are, and they don't take it too seriously. So it kind of gets away with it. And I suppose that's very much in the same vein as James Gunn's Suicide Squad, which I highly recommend you watch, because that's what basically got him the job of, spearheading this whole universe. And then he obviously went on to do Peacemaker, which is a direct sequel to the Suicide Squad. I recommend you watch James Gunn's Suicide Squad. If you've not seen any other James Gunn, he did a good film called Slither. I really like that. Or was that Zack Snyder? No, I'm pretty sure it was James Gunn. Slither's pretty good. Good little horror film.
I think I remember hearing about that film. Yeah, I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. It's just like, I think it's a remake as well, but it's basically horror slugs. It's pretty good.
Is there anything that you think that James Gunn might have trouble with moving forward, like with his certain style that people? Because I think that some people might not like his comical approach.
I'll tell you this: if you make Superman funny, that'll annoy me. If you make Batman wholesome, that will annoy me. I think they're the things you need to avoid. Don't make Superman a joke. And if you're going to do the Bat family, if you're going to bring in all these characters where the Batman's sort of taking under his wing, is he still going to be dark? And like, Batman's got to be dark for me. And if you're bringing in all these other characters, and you're bringing in Damian Wayne, who is literally his son, then you might end up turning Batman into a bit more of a wholesome hero, which I really don't want. Wholesome should be Superman, Batman should be dark, like, and broody. Like, I don't want Batman wholesome. Superman is the wholesome side of the DC universe. Batman is the guy with fucking PTSD. He's the taxi driver of DC. He is, what's his name from Taxi Driver? What's the guy's name? Robert De Niro plays him. Travis.
I can't remember. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he's the Travis. I forget the last name, but yeah, he's the Travis of DC. He's got PTSD. Like, he's like an angry war vet that's sort of taking authority into his own hands, essentially. Whereas Superman is like super wholesome, like come from like country bumpkin kind of lad, come from like a very modest upbringing, even though he has the power to basically have all the money in the world if he wanted. But no, he's wholesome. He's been raised better. So, like, yeah. I don't think... what
we need to make Batman work, to still be dark and have a family, is that he needs to be a shit dad.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure, he's got to be like the worst parent. Don't you think he already is? Letting his kids like fucking run around dressed as giant bats and beating up bad guys. He's already a terrible parental figure. Terrible.
Yeah, but you have to do that and make it compelling. I know. There needs to be a lot of good thought around that to make that work well.
I think it's doable. Just don't make him wholesome, you know, or maybe make him like, you know, just a really strict dad where it's borderline abusive.
Yeah.
Like that. That's like, you know, when you know, you could, I forget what it is. I watched something recently. I really forget what it was, but like the parent like shouted at the kid for crying. And I was like, that's the kind of dad Batman would be. Like, don't show weakness. You know, you're better than that. You know, keep your weakness inside. Keep your pain inside. Use it to fuel you. You know, that's the sort of that's the sort of dad Batman would be. You know, got no time for crying. You got no time for your own feelings because you got to worry about everyone else's.
Yeah, and it explores also more of Batman, Bruce Wayne, when you see that.
Exactly. But this is the thing, because I've always felt that Alfred was always like what keeps Batman from becoming basically the Joker. Like, Batman is so dark that he's always holding himself back. If he was to truly unleash, then he absolutely would start killing people like on a regular basis. He would become the Joker essentially. And Alfred's what keeps him grounded. And maybe that's what having these children around helping him. Maybe that there's an element of that too, that they keep him grounded. They keep him from going too dark, too aggressive, too violent. You know,
I think
that would be really good. Actually, James Gunn, you can have that idea. You can have that. I want to see that. I
think also as well, what might be more likely is that he'll be a very absent father.
Oh, I think that. Well, not when he takes you out with him. It's bring your kid to work day.
What I mean is
Alfred sent the memo. You know, come on, kids.
Yeah, what I meant is that, like, at first, before he brings them into his Bat circle, his Bat family, if they're just regular family, before they find out maybe that he's Batman and he does all this extra shit, I think at first, most, like, for example, this one, you said Wade, right? Was it that his son's name?
Damian Wayne. Yeah, well, look, I'll tell you that he will know that he's Batman from the outset. I'll explain Damian Wayne to you if you want after you finish your point.
Yeah, I just think that probably he'll be a very absent father who doesn't share much with his kids. And then...
Well, you're basically not wrong.
Yeah, I know. Go on.
Well, so do you recall in like the Christian Bale movies, you've got Ra's al Ghul and his daughter Talia al Ghul?
Yeah.
So in the comic books, Batman bangs Talia al Ghul, and they've got like they keep trying to kill each other, or she keeps trying to kill him, but it has no problem letting him sire her a baby. So she basically Batman knocks her up, and then I don't think they tell Batman about it, And so obviously they're in the League of Shadows, aren't they? They're in that ninja group with Ra's al Ghul. And basically Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul raise Damien to be like their ultimate like killing machine. So by the time he's 10 years old, he has like murdered half the fucking world. Like he is like seriously, he's badass. He has a samurai, he's a Robin with a samurai sword. Like he carries a fucking samurai sword. He's badass. And then I think he has to try and kill Batman. I think his last mission is to kill Batman. And then obviously Batman figures out that it's his son, and he, you know, takes him on to become like his mentor, and he makes him Robin. But their backstory is that he knows that Batman is his father, and he knows who Batman is. He knows who Bruce Wayne is, but he's only heard one side of it all. And Bruce Wayne's, you know, tries to sort of take the edge off him. He's very tough. He's like really hard, this kid. Like I say, he's been murdering people his whole life since he could hold a sword. So what, 18 months old, he's already killing them. So this kid's pretty fucked up in the head, and Batman's been trying to like turn him into like a responsible human being that isn't all fucked up because he was raised to be a murderer. But obviously having someone who's completely psychopathic, like a 4-foot psychopath that's following you around all the time while you're trying to be a superhero, does lead to some interesting stories. Because Damian Wayne is like super hot-headed. So James Gunn said that Damian Wayne is his favorite Robin. I think most comic book fans would tell you that Damian Wayne is their least favorite Robin, if they like him at all. He's not too popular amongst the fans of the comics because he's not got the same demeanor as the previous Robins. He's a lot more of an arsehole. Yeah. And he's a lot more, as I say, psychologically, fucked up and stilted. Yeah, but that could be really interesting to get like a Robin that's like basically fucked up in the head. And then the rest of the Bat family is trying to like bring him round to being like a proper hero. Could be interesting.
Yeah. I think it depends how James Gunn takes it. I mean, maybe he sees something in this character that most people don't see, and then he can make him the most interesting of all the Robins. Yeah.
Could be. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of scope for the character, so you never know. Is there anything else you want to draw attention to or make comment on before we end this? I've gone because that's all the properties. I am interested into how the second Joker film and the second The Batman is going to tie into all this, if it does tie in at all, or if it ever will, or whatever. Because maybe at the end of Joker 2 and Batman 2, a big portal will open. And then the Flash is like, oh, I need to bring you to my universe. Come with me. And then they're going to do fucking, well, I'll tell you this. It's possible that we might end up getting like a Justice League versus Justice League movie. That might be interesting. Because there is a storyline in the comic. I think it's called Gods and Monsters. Don't hold me to that. But like, it's literally an alternate universe Justice League that are all bad guys. And they all end up in the same universe. And so the Justice League end up fighting the Justice League. But one's evil and one's good. The evil Justice League, you've got like, instead of Wonder Woman, you've got Superwoman. And you've got Owlman instead of Batman. And shit like that. You've got a speedy one that's the Flash. You've got a Green Lantern-y one. Like I say, all of the heroes that you know are also on the team, except they're all evil. You've got Ultraman as well. Ultraman, I think, is the bad Superman.
But then I have to say, what do you do after that? I think that has to be a climax of something, doesn't it?
You kill them, innit?
Further.
Well, this is it. What if they're building towards, we end up getting like the Elseworlds heroes having to fight against the James Gunn universe heroes? So we'll end up seeing Robert Pattinson and the new Batman fight each other, and we'll get Henry Cavill and the new Superman fight each other, and we'll get Jason Momoa Aquaman versus Jason Momoa, whatever the other character was, Lobo, I think we said in the last recording we did about this. We get them fighting each other. That'd be interesting. I wouldn't mind that at all. But I also wouldn't love it because I kind of like how the Batman is its own thing. I like how the Joker is its own thing.
I think they need to keep it that way.
I think they need to keep it that way, but I would like to see the Batman in the Joker. Like, it's weird not having Batman in a Joker movie. It's weird not having Spider-Man in a Venom movie. And yet here we are. We're 2 Venom movies and soon to be 2 Joker movies in this universe, and neither of them feature the hero that made these characters famous in the first place. It's just strange to me. But I thought the first Joker worked, so I'm excited to see the new one, and I'm excited for this new Batman film. So I'll be interested to see how they handle it. And it'll be interesting to see how audiences handle having 2 separate Batman, 2 separate Jokers, maybe even 2 separate Supermen. You know, who knows what we'll end up getting. Because I'll tell you this, because they're going to do Elseworld projects, I would love to see Superman Red Sun, which is the Elseworld story they did, where it was like, what if Superman had landed in Soviet Russia instead of Kansas? And what would have his life been like? What would be the hero that he turned out to be? Like, that would have been interesting. I would still like to see that as a live action movie. I think they did another Elseworld where Bruce Wayne got a hold of the Green Lantern ring and stuff like that, you know. So I'd like to see more projects like that. Marvel are doing it with the What If cartoon. So I'm excited to see more Elseworld projects that are recognizable characters, but in completely different scenarios, different situations. I think could be really exciting.
Yeah, I think it could also be quite interesting. I think with the Batman films, we might actually see the Joker probably in the next one, because we did see him in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, but if I'm perfectly honest, I really didn't appreciate that. I really didn't want a little Joker Easter egg. I know it's tempting when you're making a Batman movie, but like, come on, you know, just...
I think what they should do at this point maybe is, if they do that, keep him at arm's length, like maybe behind the scenes influencing things.
Or
with the Joker films, I think probably what they'll end up doing is, if they make 2 or 3 of them, we might finally see Batman as Batman towards the end of it. But maybe. We do see him as we do see a kid Bruce Wayne in the Joker.
We do.
We have some time before he can be the Batman. I mean, so,
in all fairness, I think they were planning to make the Joker a bit of like a Hannibal Lecter kind of character in the Batman. And I think that would have been interesting, having him always at Arkham. And so it's someone that Batman's already dealt with, and he's just stuck in Arkham. But like, you can have the odd scene here and there where he gets to do some acting flexing, like Anthony Hopkins did in Silence. You know, because like, didn't Hopkins only have about 10 minutes of screen time in the original Silence? But he still won Best Actor because his performance is felt throughout the whole bloody movie. And he only really has 10 minutes of screen time. That could be how you did it with the Joker in the Batman. Like, every now and again.
Like that.
Yeah, I think that's what they were planning on doing. But I'm not sure if we'll still get it, because I don't think anyone was really keen on the little scene that we did get. And they either leaked it, or maybe it was released on the DVD. But there is a deleted scene where Batman literally does have a conversation with the Joker. We do have that scene. You can look it up on YouTube. That is something out there that they did film, and it just didn't make it into the final cut.
I will say, though, the actor that they're getting to maybe play the Joker is that Irish actor. I can't remember his name. I think he's nominated for something in the Oscars.
I only know him from the Eternals, and I thought he was dog shit in that.
Oh, okay.
But the whole movie's shit, so I don't think it's his fault that he's dog shit in it, because everyone's dog shit in it. It's just a dog shit movie.
Okay, because I
like Gemma Chan in it, but only because I'm a huge Gemma Chan fan from back on British TV.
Yeah, I think we've gone off massive topic here, but maybe I don't know if we end up cutting a lot of this.
We might end up cutting a lot of this.
Yeah, I think maybe we need to summarize now because we're 1 hour and 30 minutes in.
Yeah, let's wrap up. Let's wrap up. So, in a nutshell, I'm actually surprisingly pretty pumped for DC. I'm actually surprisingly more pumped for DC right now than I am for Marvel.
That's interesting, actually.
That's only because the last, phase 4, besides Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, which I did enjoy, I've not really liked anything they've put out for a while. I didn't mind Ms. Marvel. I thought that was okay. But then after the first 2 episodes, it got a bit shit. But the first 2 episodes were actually really good and stylistically really cool. Moon Knight, I really loved the character Moon Knight, but I didn't rate the show as much as everyone else did. I think there was so much scope for something a bit more crazier than we got. But I would definitely watch another season of it. She-Hulk I thought was pretty pants, but the last episode I enjoyed. There's just been a lot of hit and miss with the most recent Marvel stuff, and I have to say Ant-Man 3 is going to have to be something really special for me to be, excited for the rest of these movies, because right now I'm only watching Ant-Man 3 because I feel like I have to, because it's one of those films that is going to be setting up most of this new overarching story across all of the Marvel films. So I better watch it, so otherwise none of it will make sense. I won't lie, I quite like Shang-Chi up until the third act. I feel like the third act, it just becomes a bit shit. Like the moment you introduce dragons into the universe, I'm like, no. I can do fine. I'll do fucking magical rings, but fucking hell, dragons? You've got dragons in this now? I mean, don't get me wrong, Lord of the Rings has magical rings and dragons, but it's set within a world that you can buy both of them existing within. Whereas the Marvel movies, they're just slowly getting more and more ridiculous. And it's like, well, if only you hadn't started things out in the first Iron Man movie as there's not really much crazy shit going on. Everything's basically like normal real life, except there's a billionaire with a mechanical suit. There's a guy who tried some super soldier serum back in the 40s, and we've unfrozen. Well, I suppose it was always crazy, wasn't it? Because it's like, oh, and by the way, that Norse mythology god Thor. Oh, he's real. He's on the team too. So I suppose I'm moaning over nothing, because Marvel's always been a bit ridiculous. But I don't know. I think dragons. I don't know. I didn't mind it though. I didn't mind Shang-Chi. Like the film as a whole, I'll give it like a 6. Like I enjoyed it mostly, but the last climax, the CGI doesn't really work for me, and the fact that it's a dragon's a bit nuts. Maybe if the dragon looked better, like the CGI was better, then perhaps I'd be less judgmental on it. But I thought the CGI was a bit pants. So yeah, like I say, Marvel, they need to start making some really good moves. I think this new Ant-Man film could be really good. I've already spoiled for myself that MODOK is going to be in it, and MODOK is like such an obscure character from Marvel. I cannot wait to see what they're going to do, like how they're going to make him look, because in the comics he's like literally a head with these tiny arms and tiny legs, and he flies around in like a mechanical chair suit thing.
So I will
desperate to
say
see
that
what they're going to do with it.
As someone who hasn't really watched either Marvel or DC stuff, this could be quite interesting because now DC might be a lot more
focused.
Not just that, but more appealing for people who haven't really paid attention till now, because now it's way more accessible. And like now, Marvel maybe is reaching its sell-by date. Maybe it's done too much. I think what's it now? Going to be 31 films with the next Ant-Man film. That's a lot of films, and people, I don't know, it's a bit intimidating. Do you want to watch all that, or would you rather start fresh with DC stuff, which might be a bit more logical, especially if James Gunn really puts it in a logical order that you can easily go in and out of. Maybe people might start moving a bit away from Marvel and more towards DC. Who knows? Could be interesting.
Yeah, it could be. We'll have to wait and see. I'm interested to see what he'll do with Superman. I think that's going to be, because that's going to be the first movie of his reign as the boss of DC. And I've got a feeling that if it doesn't do well at the box office, then I reckon they're just going to say, fuck it, let's stop putting money into this franchise. But if they, well, I doubt that actually. I doubt they're going to stop making superhero movies. But I think this James Gunn Superman needs to do really well. Otherwise, we're going to see a shift, I think. Maybe Warner Brothers will start focusing on other projects more. Maybe more on Matrix spin-offs or Space Jam spin-offs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll think their other properties will have to take precedent over DC stuff. Maybe, because this is it. Maybe people just aren't as into Superman and Batman as they are into Spider-Man and shit.
That's true.
Maybe that's literally all it is. But when, in all fairness, no one really gave a shit about Captain America, the Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, Iron Man, up until the Avengers, or up until the movies that were made for them. Like the A tier of Marvel before the Avengers movies was Spider-Man and X-Men. That was the A tier of superheroes at Marvel. And Batman and Superman are the A tier of DC. And so, let's be honest, Marvel, they've made all of these characters become pop culture icons. Captain America, everyone fucking loves now, and Thor, everyone loves now. My dad is really happy that, because Thor was always one of his favorites when he was a kid, but no one agreed with him because, like, who likes Thor? Why would you like Thor? He lives at the end of a rainbow road in some magical fantasy land. And it's like, yeah, it's fucking naff, but the movies made it kind of cool. Even a rainbow road was kind of cool in the movies. They made it look better than a literal rainbow from a castle into a teleporty place. Like, that's literally what it was in the comics, like just a fucking rainbow. So, they made it less naff in the movies. So, yeah, like I said, I'm really pumped for this Green Lantern, right? Because I like a lot of this cosmic stuff in the Marvel movies. I like Thor. I really like Thor Ragnarok a lot. And I'd love to see a sort of Thor Ragnarok style movie coming out of DC. But it looks like Green Lantern's going to be way more in the vein of True Detective. So, I'm kind of keen to see that a bit more, if I'm honest. I want to see True Detective in space.
Shrapnel.